I'm the Vice President of Sales. We have on camera two of our Signworld owners and a former Signworld owner, three of them. I'll introduce them to you in just a minute. But wanted to maybe let you know what our agenda is. First, we're going to introduce Signworld owners. Then Jack Werner, our president, will give us a couple of definitions. Then I'm going to show a very short slideshow, and then we will open it up to questions. We're going to go in the order of the people who have signed in on the right-hand side of the screen under the user list. So Stephen Miller, you'll be the first one up to ask questions. We like to go in a round-robin fashion where, Stephen, you ask a question, then we'll move on to the next person and the next person, and then back around. Trust me that inside of an hour, you'll have all of your questions answered. But be prepared when it's your turn. Maybe have your top 5 questions written down. When we call on you, be ready to give us your question. Short, sweet, open-ended, easy questions. Okay. Let me introduce our panel to you. First of all is Larry Foster. Larry, give us a wave. Larry Foster's in Troy, Michigan. Larry, how many years have you been a Signworld owner?
18 years.
18 years now. Wow. And what did you do before?
I worked for Kmart for 27 years. I was the vice president of operations.
Okay. And how many square feet are you in now?
I am in 8,000 square feet.
And how many employees are you up to?
11.
11. And what's your goal of sales for this year?
1.6 million.
1.6 million. Very good. Next is Ron Cochran. Ron, give us a wave. Okay, Ron, how long have you been a Signworld owner?
3 years.
3 years. And what did you used to do before?
Sales and marketing for a custom office products and flexographic printing plate manufacturer.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
How many square feet are you in now, Ron? Still your first location?
Yeah, 4,000 square feet.
And how many employees are you up to?
I have 2 full, 2 part-time, and myself.
Okay. And what's your projected gross sales for this year?
About 600,000.
600,000. And Jack Werner, give us a wave.
Hey, everybody.
Jack is a former Signworld owner. Jack, tell us your story.
I started in 1,200 square feet with 1 employee, ended up in 5,000 square feet with a staff of 11. I was doing 1.3 million at the sales. This is before the days of the internet. I then sold the business, went into a process and a partnership with Ken to learn his end of the business. I ended up buying Signworld out from Ken 5 years ago and became the president of Signworld. Ken has stayed on as our director of sales. When I give answers today, if the question goes more to my experience running a Signworld, I'll speak from their perspective. If it goes more from policy and training and that, I'll speak from that perspective. So depending on the question, I'll answer from one field or the other.
Okay. And Jim Tardif, are you still with us?
I am still with you, but on the phone, not on the computer, not on the web.
Okay, so Jim is in what Atlanta are you in, Jim? Alpharetta?
We're in Roswell, which is just right next door to Alpharetta. Yep.
Roswell, sorry about that. And how many years have you been a Signworld owner?
4 years.
And what did you used to do before Signworld?
I was in sales with General Electric for 30 years.
And how many square feet are you in now?
We're in 2,500 square feet, and I have 3 employees plus myself.
And what's your projected gross sales this year?
500,000.
500,000. Okay, great. Jack, do you want to give us a couple of definitions before I show my slideshow?
Just real quick, for those of you on the call, whether you're looking at Signworld or you're one of the business consultants that we use, Signworld is a franchise. Signworld was set up as an owner's alliance. A franchise is appropriate if it's a cookie cutter, sale of the same service or product to the masses of the world. This is custom manufacturing, selling to a high number of, or high percentage of repeat customers. So it doesn't fit the franchise model. And with that comes no rules, no royalties. A lot of sign rules have joined Signworld, not only because they like the custom manufacturing business of the sign business, but they also wanted the extra flexibility and the fact that they didn't have to pay royalties. We realize if you don't join Signworld, you're going to be joining a franchise. There's nobody else out there that gives ongoing training and support, not just the sign business, basically in any industry. There's a lot of business opportunities that'll train you to get you going and then leave you alone, where Signworld gives ongoing continuing support. That's comment number one. A lot of times people confuse us with printers. Printers do the commodity items that you print and put in the box. Business cards, letterheads, envelopes, catalogs, etc. That's an industry that's stagnated. It's called high equipment costs, low margins, and kind of stagnant in volume because of desktop publishing, e-reading, people being able to order from the internet. We do printing as well, but it's all the custom production. It's from as small as postage stamp, the entire side of the building. You need materials, you need thicknesses and depths. We're different is we're putting it onto the customer's surface afterwards. We're screwing it to the post, gluing it to the wall, sticking it in the ground, putting it on the vehicle. Somebody did research on it, but you can't order it on the internet. So we can't, it's our best friend, bring in sleeves, and then our custom take care of it. Sign industry continues to grow. There's more signs rolled today than there were yesterday, and there'll be more tomorrow. Ken, your slideshow is spinning. It's not quite ready. There it is. You're on.
Okay. Once again, for everybody on the call, if you could, including our panel, if you could mute yourselves, we would appreciate it very much if you could mute yourself. Thank you. As Jack said, we're Signworld Business Partners. We're not a franchise. We're a Business Owners Alliance. We are family. We are friends. We work together on projects and share the profit. We share employees, share supplies, get together, talk story. We do not compete with each other. We're full-service sign companies. We're going to teach you all about both indoor and outdoor signs. We charge no royalties. It's a one-time buy-in. We have no rules. Starts with the name. You can name it whatever you want to name it. This is manufacturing. You are manufacturing a tangible product. You're putting your name on it and you're giving it to your customer. 98% of all the signs in the world are indoors. The average life is 30 days. They change every month. In December, they say Christmas. In January, half off. Right now, they all say Halloween. That's where the money is at for sign companies, is having customers who change their signs every month. Repeat business. You start with yourself and one employee. This is an experienced sign maker. We will help you find them. We will interview them. We will test them. And once you hire them, they can go to all of our training programs, no extra charge. This is a one-location business. When you outgrow your space, as Larry Foster in Troy, Michigan is now in his third space, he's just moved a couple of miles down the road to double the space. This is business to business. Your customers are all the other businesses in town, no matter how small, no matter how big. Your hours posted on your door are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Your customers do not expect you to be there at night and on the weekends. You are home with your family. gross annual sales will most likely come from your top 20 customers. The old 80-20 rule. Now, you'll have 100 or more customers. You'll take care of them all every year. But 80% of your money will come from your top 20. Total investment all in, $210,000. That includes $30,000 of working capital, cash reserve, money in your bank account in case in the early months you need some extra money. Signworld's been in business 31 years, since 1988. We have never had any form of legal action. We have never, ever been sued by anyone. We've never sued anyone. We've never been to mediation, arbitration, nothing. We're very, very proud of that track record. That's got to tell you something about how we take care of our 340 Signworld owners scattered around the United States and Canada. You're going to receive outstanding support not only from our corporate staff, but our 340 owners. As I mentioned earlier, we are family, we are friends. We work together, we help each other out. What sets Signworld apart? No rules, no royalties, weekly sales training, and if you follow the program, more than likely 50 to 90% of your new business will come from your website, from the internet. That means the customer is chasing you. You're not out cold calling. If you follow the business model, you'll never have time to go cold calling. Owners do not make signs. You'll be taught how to make them. You'll always know how to make them. But your job is to run the business. Your job is to take care of the customer. We are the commercial sign company. We're located in the light industrial area, the business park, the kind of a building where you walk in the front door to the offices and you walk around the back of the building to the giant roll-up garage door. We are not, and I repeat, we are not these retail sign stores you see in the shopping centers, the strip malls, and out on the main street. That is not our business model at all. In our business model, you'll have no walk-in traffic, or very, very little. Some of our locations, customers, the biggest and the best. There's a myth out there. People think signs come from headquarters. That's not entirely true. The artwork comes from headquarters, and the specifications and the color codes are all sent in an email to their various locations. We have Signworld owners who work with every one of these companies that you see on the screen. Our Signworld owner in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, takes care of 14 McDonald's restaurants, 14 every single month. Where do we see signs today that we haven't seen them when we were kids? Floor graphics are becoming more and more popular. Wall graphics that change every week. More wall graphics. LED signs, lightweight, easy to change the graphics, easy to move the entire battery-operated sign. In-store signage. Trade show signage. Outdoor post-it note. The bed is a giant post-it note. Peel it off, move it to the other side of the building. We also would do the lettering, Vancouver Woodworks, that's our routed letters. More outdoor signage. Real estate. This is a 85-foot tall grain silo. More real estate. Indoor high-quality printed canvas. Vehicle wraps. could be 20 to 25% of your business. 20 Disneyland buses, they change them every 6 months. Airplanes, no problem. It's a fun business, ladies and gentlemen. Every project is different. Every day is different. That's what keeps you going. Come ride the Discovery Day bus. We do a Discovery Day once a month. It's always on a Friday. Our next one is Friday, October 25th, a couple of weeks from now. And then the one after that is Friday, November 15th. You're welcome to join us. We will chauffeur you to visit 4 different locations. During the day, you'll meet a whole bunch of Signworld owners. You'll be able to see their businesses, talk to their employees, make some signs yourself. And during the day, we'll feed you well. Usually we have between 25 and 35 people total at a Discovery Day. Okay, let's start with our questions. So, Stephen Miller. Stephen, come off of mute and say hello. Audio check. Hello. Go ahead, Stephen. We hear you loud and clear.
All right. So for the gentleman in the Atlanta area, you were at 500K revenue in 4 years, correct?
That's correct.
And so what is what are you seeing out of that 500K that's going to your basic cost beyond the cost of your employees? So cost of your square footage, cost of all the supplies, ongoing maintenance of the equipment, and so forth.
So, Stephen, are you asking, let's make sure we all understand the question. Your question is, of your $500,000 of gross sales, how does that break down with expenses?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Jimmy.
Yes to all of those things, and then some. Cost of goods sold is a big piece. Rent, utilities, all of the standard costs associated with running a business. Is there a specific area of cost that you were interested in?
Well, if you could just give us a sense of what the ratio is of what the cost of goods sold to the revenue and so forth.
Well, our gross margins we run at about a 24-25% margin rate.
Is that a 25% profit margin or 25% cost of goods?
Profit margin.
Okay. Ron Cochran, year in, year out, what kind of a profit margin do you run at?
Yeah, we're just over 20%.
And Jack Warner, year in, year out for 10 plus years, what was your profit? You're on mute, Jack. Jack, you're on mute.
I apologize. Back in. I was very consistent at a 25% net profit.
Larry Foster, 18 years in business, year in, year out, what's your net profit?
25%.
Okay. Dan Ferguson. Dan, come off of mute.
Yeah, hi. Dan Ferguson here.
Go ahead.
As you're going out and you're trying to sell Signworld services, what makes you better? How do you talk to your potential prospects about what makes you better and why they should come with you?
Larry Foster, why are you the best sign company in town?
Well, it really comes down to reliability. It's doing what you say you're going to do. Fortunately for us, the industry the standards are not high, and you get a lot of people that are missing deadlines and promise things and don't come through. And if you do that, and your customer can depend on you, you have got a customer for life.
Okay. Ron Cochran, your thoughts?
Yeah, Larry's got it right on. Response time is big. There are a lot of people that say where we've gotten calls, and we're like the third company they called because they called 2 other companies, and a month has gone by and they haven't gotten any responses. So we get that a decent amount. If you can just respond to people, follow up with them, and be professional about it, you're going to differentiate yourself just by doing that.
Jim Tardif, your thoughts?
I'm on board with the other 2. That was one of the value props that we decided early on that we were going to focus on, and we communicate that with all of our customers and all of the networking we did.
Okay. Jack Warner, your thoughts?
That shouldn't sound like a difference maker, but it actually is. Most sign companies are not owned by professional business people. They're owned by former sign makers who were qualified to make signs, saving up nickels to become their own boss. They're a doer, they're not a planner, so they're not used to the multitasking and juggling of projects. If you show up on time, if you deliver the code expeditiously, if you show yourself reliable, there's more business out there than you'll have time to follow.
And my thoughts would be the same thing, that if you can deliver on time and on specification consistently every month, month after month, you will be busy. You will have a great clientele. Chad Brown, come off of mute. Those of you who have already had a chance to ask a question, if you want to go back on mute, that would help us. Chad Brown, say hello.
Hi, gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Two-part. Yeah, I've got a kind of a 2-part question. Were there any hidden costs that you weren't aware of during the initial startup? And the second half would be more of, what would you do different if you had knowing what you know now during the startup phase?
Larry Foster, 18 years in business, Troy, Michigan. Were there any hidden costs?
There really weren't. You get it kind of pro forma when you start, and it's very accurate. And you do your research. Some of the things you're not sure of, but in the end, they came in line with what the pro forma said. And what I would do differently, I would have promoted my business earlier. I focused on just setting up the building and getting the employees hired. And I wish I would have promoted my business earlier instead of waiting until we opened.
And so what we teach today is we would like to launch your website 6 weeks before you open. 6 weeks before you open. Ron Cochran, any unexpected costs, and what would you do differently?
No, I spent a little more on some internet advertising in my first year than I thought I would, just because I started one way and then wasn't doing what I was supposed to. I picked something where I had to put a lot of time into it and didn't manage that well, so then ended up just paying somebody to do it. So I would have changed my approach in the beginning, and that's probably the biggest thing. And honestly, probably would have hired somebody different initially. So that person you hire is important.
Different in the
Jim Tardif.
sign maker? Is that what?
Yeah, your first employee is your sign maker, your designer to get started. Yeah.
Understood.
And maybe I probably stayed with him too long. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Jim Tardif, any unexpected hidden costs in the beginning, and what would you do differently?
There were no unexpected costs. Everything was laid out very well for me. Relative to doing things differently, probably 2 things. One, I would have paid more attention to the development of my Signs of Significance website to make sure that was top-notch, first class. So we've gotten it back to where it needs to be, but didn't pay close enough attention going in. The other thing is spending time documenting procedures, getting all of the different procedures in place so everybody has the running rules to help run the business every day.
Okay. And Jack Warner, your thoughts?
there were no hidden costs for me. On the do different, I think most Signworld owners would say follow the plan. Don't get so hung up on the no rules. I can get to do it my own way. There's so much training and support. If you follow what we're teaching, tweak it, but don't change it. I think you're going to find the best of success.
Okay. Tom Weicker, come off the mute. Say hello.
Hello? Can you hear me, I hope?
Go ahead. We hear you fine, Tom. Go ahead.
All right. Good. Thanks for the opportunity to ask a question. My question is around, Ken had mentioned to me when we first talked about the pricing tool that's available so that you adequately or properly price your projects. I guess I'm asking the owners, how reliable or how consistent, or do you have to discount from that pricing model in order to be competitive? I mean, what percentage, I guess, maybe of projects do you win that the price basically is spit out of this model?
Larry Foster?
Well, the pricing, first of all, when I started, there wasn't one. We had a notebook that we used for pricing, but now it's automated, and you can do all your basic pricing right through the system. When you get into much more difficult projects, you're starting to work on a little bit more cost plus labor type pricing. But I would say probably 70% of my pricing comes out of the book, and it's very accurate. You'll find there's some might want to go down low and be more competitive in your market, but in most cases you can go higher than what it actually shows you.
Ron Cochran.
Okay.
It's a really good software system, but it definitely doesn't spit out just the price for every job on you. Some of the jobs have a lot of components to them, and different areas of the country definitely have different margins on some different products. So it doesn't come out of the box perfect. It's stuff that you have to work at, but it definitely helps you without question going on. I think Larry said about 70% of his pop out. We're about half of ours, and the other half, is a little more specialty quoting type of thing.
Do you do it on a cost plus? I'm sorry. I guess, how do you price? I guess the follow-on question though is how do you price those things for which you don't have a system answer, if you will, or tool answer?
Yeah, well, we have a history, on certain jobs. So some jobs have a higher perceived value too. When we do like acrylic lobby signs, that's a real impressive thing when people walk into a lobby. Customers like to see that. You can get more profit margin out of those. So you can build more into something like that versus in our area, awnings don't have a lot of profit margin. I don't make them. That's part of it. So some areas it just kind of depends on the product and on your area and on the product.
Okay.
But Tom, as Larry Foster mentioned, in the more complicated jobs, you'll do cost plus labor, time and materials. Jim Tardif, your thoughts on the pricing software?
We spend a lot of time tracking market rates, competitive rates on the various products. One of the things that's fun about this industry is everything we do is custom made. Right? The clients don't typically have a lot of knowledge on what competitive rates are. We try not to compete on price. We try to compete on value. And we try to make sure that we're selling the value that we're delivering. So most of our jobs are project-based type of jobs, and we use a lot of historical knowledge and a lot of component costs to help build the total cost of the project.
Jack Warner, your thoughts?
The pricing software is very elaborate. But what we're really trying to teach, even though there are some Signworld owners very intimidated by competition and quoting against others, we're really trying to teach you to go after the customer that's not negotiating. The customer says, get it done. I think most Signworld owners tell you they don't do a lot of pencil sharpening to get the job. It's really the efficiency of getting the quote to the customer and showing how comprehensive you are.
Larry Foster, in in a given month, how often do you have to sharpen your pencil because you know you're up against a competitor?
Maybe, I don't know, 3% of the time.
Okay. Ron Cochran?
We probably have something every week, but those are more first-time internet leads, not repeat customers.
Okay. Jim Tardif?
Yeah, I would say it's less than 10% of the time.
Okay. Christy and Donald Allen. Christy, do you want to go first? Come off of mute, say hello.
Hi.
Go ahead.
All right. My question is, what additional equipment have you added to your business? And if you could go back and add a piece of equipment in the beginning, which would it be?
Larry Foster, 18 years in business. You probably added a lot of equipment. You want to just simplify it and give us the short list?
Sure. Well, first of all, I didn't add any major equipment at all for the first 5 years. Then I added a second printer to my business. But over the years, I've added multiple printers, CNC routers, engravers, things like that, bucket trucks.
Ron Cochran, how long did you survive on the startup package? Have you added any significant equipment?
No, the only thing, we're still on the startup package. The only thing we've added is a big Fletcher substrate cutter.
Which cost how much?
I got it at the show last year, the special. I think it was like $4,000, something like that.
4,000. Okay. So in 4 years, $4,000. 3 years, $4,000 worth of equipment. Jim Tardif, over and above the Signworld package, have you added any significant equipment? If so, what and how much?
We have not added anything in 4 years.
Okay. Is there anything on your wish list, Jim Tardif?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on my wish list. I would say probably, and this is not a huge investment, but a panel saw would be a very efficient tool for us to have, relatively inexpensive.
Panel saw that costs a couple $1,000. Ron Cochran, anything on your wish list?
Yeah, we're looking at the system to bring all our Braille signs in-house, so a routing Braille system.
Okay, and what would that cost?
About around 20.
Larry Foster, with all that you have, is there anything on your wish list?
Yeah, next year we're going to be putting in a paint booth, and we're going to get another engraver.
Okay. Jack Warner, your thoughts?
You know, we really don't believe there's anything extra needed to begin with. Part of our job is to make sure we're giving you the equipment that will provide most of the equipment. Are there a couple options on the contract that you can upgrade to? There are, but again, we don't want to have you spend more money than you need to get started. So I believe it's pretty comprehensive.
Okay. Donald Allen. Donald, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir. I'd be happy to. Kind of a general, broad question is, what does it take to be a successful Signworld business owner, knowing all too well that all sign companies cannot survive and may end up failing?
Larry Foster, what's it take to be successful?
Well, I think there's two things, and we've already talked about the one, just being that reliable one and doing what you say. That's so critical. But I think it's also important that you enjoy talking and working with people. You know, you go out and you meet customers, and you set the tone for your company. And when they meet with you, I think they need to feel a sense of confidence in you. And I think that's important.
Ron Cochran?
Build the system as you go. Don't just take orders. The first year, you probably are going to be taking a lot of orders involved in day-to-day, which is actually probably good. You want to be a part of it, be into it. As you go along, though, you want to slowly get to the point where when people call, place an order, it goes through your shop. You don't have to be involved in every order. So just concentrate on really building that system as early as you can.
Jim Tardif, what's it take to be successful?
I think being comfortable, for me, being comfortable in a sales environment, which is where I grew up in business, being out in front of customers, doing a lot of networking, just getting the word out there. And then, from a backroom perspective, having those processes in place, like Ron is saying, so the business will run without you necessarily being there every step of the way.
Jack, your thoughts?
I think they've all told it well. Work on the business, not work in the business. Hire carefully, nurture the staff, delegate out. Think about how big of a business you want to grow and work towards that, and then stay coachable.
Rick, I'm going to take a stab at it, Rick. Alberigi, how'd I do?
Alberigi, thank you very much, and I appreciate you all giving good advice. One thing I'd like to know from business owners is, that break even when you start up a business. So we're looking at, an average of 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and what has it been for each of you in your growth stage at the beginning?
Larry Foster, 2 questions. What months did you break even cash on cash? What months did you draw your first paycheck?
Broke even cash on cash in the 4th month and drew my first paycheck in the 5th month.
And Ron Cochran, break even cash on cash, first paycheck.
Cash on cash, I think, was the 8th month for me, and I waited and took a paycheck until the 12th month.
Okay. Jim Tardif, what month did you break even cash on cash? What month did you take your first paycheck?
We were pretty even out of the gate. I'd been selling before we even opened the doors, so we were in good shape right from the get-go. My first paycheck was probably 18 months in, but about 12 months in, I bought another Signworld shop. So that was reinvesting in the business.
So rather than take a paycheck, you chose to retain the cash in the business in order to buy another sign company out.
That's correct.
Okay. Jack Werner, how long did it take you to break even cash on cash? How long before you took your first paycheck?
Before I answer the question, I want to introduce a couple of slideshows that we're going to show in the background. There's no audio to these, so we'll keep talking while we do it. The first slideshow shows some of the facilities inside and out, so you can see how unique and different they are. They're each building their own world. The second one goes to what is a sign. That's broken into 3 parts. Not only what are you going to make in-house with your initial staffing equipment, what are you going to outsource, and then the third part of it showing you projects that you would consider as a sign. The third slideshow I'm going to show is showing our wall of fame, showing you some of the unique projects that Signworld Owners have gotten into. You start off with simpler things, but you move into some bigger, more complicated things. So it shows the diversity and complexity of the projects. From my experience, I honestly broke even my first month, cash on cash. I never had a monthly P&L ready. I waited till month 6 to take my first paycheck.
Okay. Damon Simmons, come off of mute. Say hello, Damon.
Are you saying Damon Skeeta, I think?
Damon Simmons, whoever signed on is Damon Simmons?
Yes.
Go ahead, Damon. We can hardly hear you. Can you pick up the phone, talk a little louder?
I'm sorry, is that better?
Yes, go ahead. Damon Simmons.
Yeah, so my question actually was just is similar to this previous question in terms of what was the lead time in terms of going cash on cash in terms of the initial investment. So it was interesting that came up right before my question came up. As well as one thing I wanted to ask is
first employee? What was their position, and how long before you brought on your second employee?
When I started, I actually started with two people. I had somebody that I brought with me from the company that I worked at, and she is still with me today. She is my general manager. And but the first real employee that I had was a sign maker. He was a sign maker, and he was able to do basic designs. He knew how to make signs, and he could do basic installation.
Okay. Ron Cochran, what did your first employee do? How long before you hired a second one?
I started with 1.5. My brother started this with me part-time, so he does a lot of our vinyl installations. So, and he's still with me, which makes for Thanksgivings, good Thanksgivings. My original employee, he was okay. For the first year, he was a sign maker, graphic designer, just had a number of personal issues. It was one of the things I would change. I would have changed him out earlier. But then I've since replaced him with another primary sign maker, graphic designer, and then have another designer and another part-time in-house person now.
Okay. Jim Tardif, your first employee?
My first employee is my creative director and sign maker. He's still with me. Through the process, the Signworld process, we were able to find Kevin. Signworld helped me interview him, and he's just been a staple to my business and the growth of the business. It was a year later. I brought my second employee on full-time, who happens to be my son. He is now my sales director, and since we've added one more employee.
Excellent. Okay. Jack Warner, your thoughts?
The model is to start with a journeyman sign maker. We'll give you the ads to place, tell you where to place the ads. You do the preliminary interviews to make sure you can get along with each other. Signworld will then jump in and do more in-depth interviews. I did an interview yesterday. I'll do another one this afternoon with sign makers that have 10, 15 years of experience. They're capable of designing, printing, assembling, and installing. So a lot of help in helping you make sure you have that first employee to start, and you'll grow from there.
Excellent. Okay. These second folks, I lost my place. Dave Williams. Dave, come off of mute. Say hello. Williams. Hello, Dave Williams.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, David.
Okay. During kind of year one, can you give me a feeling for, actually, let me ask it a little different way. I've heard reference in a couple of the answers about doing some work up front prior to opening. So can you give me an idea what types of actions you would take kind of pre-opening and how you feel that might have benefited you kind of out of the gate?
Larry Foster, as you said earlier, Larry, you would have started marketing your business before you opened. Tell us more specifically what you would have done.
Yep, and I did. That was
and if
the one thing that
what you have done with.
I was the one that said that I didn't promote myself, my business early enough, and what I should have been doing even before we opened, I should have joined the BNI, joined the chamber, and became active to get my name out there, the company's name out there. Today, and I was different. That was 18 years ago, and there was no website. But today, under the same circumstances, I would still do those networking groups, but I also would get immediately started on my website to get the name of my company out there.
Ron Cochran, your thoughts?
I would. It goes to my biggest mistake. I went with an internet program where I had to do a lot of the work myself, and then didn't allocate enough time for that. So I would have started and launched a different internet program as soon as possible before you get in is fine into your shop. I actually got delayed, so I was in business actually making orders or billing orders for about 2 months before I was in my location, just because of an actual town ordinance building delay. But yeah, go ahead and get started early. You can make it work for a little while actually without your equipment in place.
Jim Tardif, did you have orders before you opened up?
Yeah, we signed the contract with Signworld in July, opened our doors in November, and when I hired Kevin, he and I started selling immediately. I was going out to every business that I personally did business with to tell them I was in the sign business and we'd love to do their signs, and we used the production resources of some of the local Signworld shops to help us build the signs. So we were selling as soon as the contract.
Okay. Jack Warner, tell everybody what we offered today regarding the internet choices and so forth.
Well, not only from the internet, but we're going to teach you in training about 55 different activities and things that can be done to generate the activity. Your marketing starts the day you sign a contract with 2 goals in mind. Build a book of customers that are willing to wait so that your sign maker starts busy. Until those products where the customer can't wait, have other Signworld owners in the area make it for you. We've got a new operation in Dallas. He had 25 products in the queue before he even had equipment delivered. So that's our whole process today. Before you open, we're going to help you build an elaborate website. We've got several website providers that we recommend. Again, no rules. You can go elsewhere if you want. These are vetted in reliability. They have templates to work off of, so it's quick and affordable. You'll borrow pictures out of a large. You'll have your own name and logo and color scheme to it. And then over time, you're going to be able to take out the canned pictures, put in your own pictures, flavor the website to the niches that you want to go after. It's not a corporate website, it's yours. And we're going to teach you how to become, over the next number of months, the dominant player in your market for internet marketing. So most Signworld owners will tell you that while in the first year they did a fair amount of networking in the community, by the second year, there's no time for it. The internet should be driving 75% of the new leads.
Andrew Gray. Andrew, come off of mute. Say hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. Andrew,
okay,
before you ask your question, 1 second, Andrew. To my panel of owners, shorter answers, please. Shorter answers. We still have a number of people to go yet, and I'm afraid we're going to run out of time. Andrew, go ahead, Andrew.
Sure, I'll try to be quick. My question is more around what you see as growth opportunities, growth customers. Is anything changing from the traditional signs? You mentioned earlier floor graphics, vehicle wraps, and things like that. I mean, what do you see as the future of the sign making area, I guess?
Larry Foster, 18 years in business, Troy, Michigan. What do you see as great opportunities for you right now?
Well, I think throughout the country, I think you'll hear vehicle wraps. It's just become the thing. So many sign companies are doing more and more. And I know on the West Coast it started first and followed on the East Coast, and throughout the Midwest, we're catching up, and it becomes bigger and bigger. And it's some of our Signworlds I knew probably they do 90% of their business in wraps, but it's just a growing category.
Ron Cochran, 4 years in business, Northern New Jersey. I'm sorry, 3 years, Northern New Jersey. What do you see as some great opportunities in your area, Ron?
Yeah, the vehicle graphics and wraps definitely are big, and the ADA regulations have helped us with Braille signage also.
Okay, Jim Tardif in Roswell, Georgia, Metro Atlanta, 4 years in business. Jim, what do you see as some of your glowing opportunities in your area?
Yes, vehicle graphics, I go along with everybody. We just finished a big project, but even some of the traditional stuff, especially with all of the building going on across the country right now, building signs, monument signs, that sort of thing, we've had some great success in.
Jack Warner, your thoughts?
The other area is corporate wallpaper, whether it's in the restaurant, the corporate office, school gymnasium. There's a lot of square footage in wall wraps. We have a Signworld owner doing a project for Duke University. The project was a wall graphics. It was 8 feet tall and 3/4 of a mile long.
Tremendous. Okay. Mary Bernard. Mary, come off of mute. Say hello.
So I guess my question right now is, what keeps you up at night?
Good one. Larry Foster, 18 years in business. What keeps you up at night?
I got to tell you, I sleep pretty well. So there's not a lot of things, but I would say maybe my biggest challenge is project management. You know, we have so many different projects going simultaneously. I'll have 150 to 200 jobs going at the same time. So you're doing a lot of project management, making sure that little jobs, medium jobs, and large jobs are all going along on schedule.
Ron Cochran, your thoughts. What keeps you up at night?
Employee issues have been the toughest thing for me. I never dealt with that in my background before, and I'm probably way too trusting a person. So that's probably what kept me up the most.
Jim Tardif, what keeps you up at night?
Maintaining that response time that we've all talked about. We're fortunate enough to have a huge pipeline, and managing that and getting back to people on time is a challenge.
And Jack Werner, what kept you up at night when you ran your sign company?
Like Larry, I slept pretty good. You know, in the very beginning, you're worried about having customers. Long term, you're worried about making sure you take care of the customers. But if you run the business right, it's a fun business to run.
Okay. Perry Freeman. Perry, come off of mute. Say hello. Perry Freeman.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine, Perry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess you guys have answered most of my questions. My questions have been more towards lead generation, which sounds like it's not only a little networking up front, but generated a lot by the internet. So I assume you guys are actually going out there and paying for your titles or your businesses that come up, you know, on certain searches and stuff. Is that how that's how the internet? How do you guys? I guess the question is, how do you? What are your parameters on the lead generation from the internet? How does it work?
That's a pretty big question.
Let me answer that quickly.
Go ahead, Jack. Yeah.
You know, in the beginning, it's some pay-per-click advertising, but it really is the SEO marketing. We can take you on certain keyword searches in different cities for Signworld owners to follow what we teach. They've got multiple listings on the page, 6-8 listings on the page that kick the competition to page 2. Long term, it's a repeat customer, and the referrals one to another. So, Larry, between repeat customers and referrals, what percentage of your business is coming from that?
Of my new business, about 75% comes from my website.
And what percent of your business is repeat customers?
What's that?
What percentage of your overall business is repeatable customers?
Repeat business is probably 80 to 85%.
Okay. Jason Evans. Jason, are you there? Do you want to come off of mute?
I am. Thanks, Ken. So I think my question revolves. Thank you. My question revolves around. I've been talking to some owners outside of these calls, and it seems like granted, I'm talking to people who've been in business a long time, but it seems like they barely use the printer anymore, that they're doing these huge signs that Chili's will have out front, and these big things and they're using other wholesalers to actually make the sign, and they're more project management. So I guess my question is, what percentage and it's probably more important for the guys that haven't been in business as long, but what percentage of your business can you actually make and produce from your equipment versus what do you have to outsource and not produce?
Okay. Larry Foster, 18 years in business, 1.6 million in gross sales. What percent of your business, Larry, do you manufacture inside your facility with your equipment?
85%.
And how many printers printers do you have running today, Larry?
I have 3 printers running.
Okay. Ron Cochran, 3 years in business. What percent of your business do you manufacture inside your facility with your equipment?
We're between 55 and 60% right now, in-house.
Okay. Jim Tardif, what percent of your business do you manufacture in-house?
If I look at my revenue, I'm probably 70% product and 30% service. So of the product, I probably have about 50% in-house and 50% outsourced.
Okay. And Jack Warner, your thoughts?
You start off about a 75-25 split. Most signs are interior and flat graphics. You'll probably then go into bigger projects and outsource more, and then at that point you might start bringing in some specialty equipment to do more of that. That's a choice for you to make later.
Okay. Alberto, are you still there, Alberto, or did you have to drop off?
Well, I have 2 minutes, so.
Go ahead, Alberto.
So
your question.
Yeah, but it's the people turnover. Like you said, you start small with 1 or 2 employees, and I don't know the turnover of employees at this point. So if you start with 1 or 2 and somebody quits, you mentioned that the family is there to help. Is the help that basically you outsource to other people in your network here to help you get the product out while you find the next, producer or worker?
Jack, we'll ask the other owners, but do you want to start out and what the recommended procedure would be if all of a sudden your guy quit?
First off, you're going to rely on other Signworld owners to do for you. We've got some freelance graphic artists that can also help with projects. To within a few months get busy enough that you're hiring number 2. So if you do lose number 1, you're down to 50%. You're never down to 0. A lot of help through the system to help you make sure that you bridge that gap.
Larry Foster, how many times a year do you help another Signworld owner out of a bind?
Often. I would say that in our market, there's probably 6 or 7 other Signworld owners, and I probably help somebody every month.
Okay. Ron Cochran, how often do you help another?
We're probably every other month. Doesn't come up every month, but anytime somebody asks, yeah, we'll be there.
Jim Tardif, how often do you help another Signworld owner out?
I don't know if it's a monthly thing, but we certainly do rely on the help of other Signworld owners and give help when called upon.
Okay. Damon Skita. Damon, are you still on the call?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. My question is around territories. So when before you actually came on with Signworld, how did you go about evaluating your territories? Were there any steps or key metrics that you looked at to evaluate the territories that you ultimately purchased in?
Larry Foster, Troy, Michigan. How did you evaluate your territory?
Businesses. People sometimes get enamored with new subdivisions growing up, and strip malls and strip centers will follow, but I want somewhere where there's a concentration of businesses.
Ron Cochran, Northern New Jersey.
Yeah, it's businesses, and you can, maybe if you go one way, you get a little higher end, town versus, another town. So we tried to trend toward the higher end town if there was a decision to be made, but all about businesses.
Jim Tardif?
Yeah, for us, we really look to the Signworld model for allocating out territories, and quite frankly, looked at the ones that were available and the proximity to where we lived, and made the best choice. We've been very happy with it.
Okay. And Jack Warner?
We all end up on the same territory. It's 3,000 businesses in a cluster of zip codes. But it's not a limit to you, unlike a franchise where it is a limit. It's the limit to Signworld to not overpopulate a market. So you're able to have regional and national customers out of that. Larry Foster ships to California every day. So make it close to home. There's people there, there's businesses there. If there's businesses there, there's signs there.
Is there anybody on the call who has not had a chance to ask a question? Is there anybody who has not had a chance? Please introduce yourself and let me acknowledge you. If anybody has an additional question, type it in the box in the lower right-hand corner.
Ken, there was a question a little bit earlier about cash on cash and what that means.
I missed that one.
The answer to the question, the answer to the question is, are your at 1 month of your expenses equal or your sales equal your expenses on a cash on cash basis? I think we each answered that. You were at 4 months, Larry. Ron was at 8 months. Jim was pretty much right from the beginning.
Okay. Stephen Miller asked, many of the signs seem pretty straightforward, but many of them are no quite elaborate. What skills needed to design those complex signs? Well, again, Stephen, in most of the cases, the customer's way ahead of you. They're going to give you the artwork. But Larry, your thoughts on sign design, on complex things that are quite elaborate?
I will say that one of the biggest learning curves for a new designer is learning to design something that can be made. Many designers' background is designing something for a website, something for a magazine, something like that. But they learn it very quickly because whatever they design, we have to be able to make.
Ron Cochran, your thoughts?
You can lean on the Signworld network for that too. If there's something that we get and I don't understand how to make it, my sign maker doesn't know how to make it, I just send it out onto the forum or contact, Jack or Dan, and you can find out how it's made. So you can leverage the network for that too.
And Jim Tardif, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to hire my designer who had about 15 years of experience, and he gave me some good advice early on. He said, you're going out, you're going to get a lot of questions you don't know the answer to. Just say, yes, you can do that, and bring it back here, and we'll figure out how to do it. And then we use all the resources, his knowledge as well as the resources of Signworld, and we've been able to get them all done.
Okay. Jack Warner, your thoughts on that question, and then pick up right away on the next question from Jason Evans. Sure. Canned website versus creating your own, and explain what we mean by that. Go ahead, Jack.
The bottom line of signs is things are every simple, and if most signs are inside, they're smaller, they're more simple, they're put in a frame, screwed to the wall, or glued to the wall, screwed to a post. So the complicated signs, while we see them, that's not the majority of the signs we do. You can pass on any project you want to pass on. So you scale up the business as you're able to handle the bigger and bigger things. As far as websites, we've got several companies that we have set up on our system that have websites that are pretty much canned. In other words, it's from a template using pictures out of a library and then customizing it to you. Different logo, different color scheme, different name to it. And then over time, you'll customize it. It's not like a franchise website where you're always using their website. Over time, you're going to be able to put in your own pictures and then custom develop it to your own style. Mary's also asking a question about installation. And if most signs are interior, most signs are ground level and step ladder level, in most cases, your sign maker is capable of installing it. When you need the bucket truck, you'll hire the third party until you get to the point where you can justify your own bucket truck. Or, as most sign builders do, never have a bucket truck. They just always outsource those things.
Okay. We're out of time. Jack, do you want to close it out?
I will. Thank you all for being here. For Larry, Ron, and Jim, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to share your experiences. If you're interested in digging deeper, we'll have another webinar like this on Wednesday, October 30th, same time of day with a different panel of owners. If you're talking to Ken or Dan or myself, come back and let's talk more. Next Discover Day is Friday, October 25th. The following one is Friday, November 15th. So thank you all, and I hope this has been helpful for you. Have a great day.